All right, guys, we got a little update, I guess. The other day, well, a while back, we checked out a video about Sue Klebold, right? I'll put everything in the description. From Timmy2Cents. Then this individual, Miorby, I don't know if that's debunked it, right? Or debunked part of it, some of the narrative that was used in the conversation. And it was interesting. So I remember watching the original video from Timmy2Cents, and I was like, some of this is off. But I was like, okay, not a bad video. And then watching this guy's video, I was like, okay, a lot of the pieces connect, how the guy was pushing like a false narrative. But anyway, let's watch their debate. Apparently they have a debate with each other. I don't know why this other guy would take a debate with this person here. He could have just ignored it and nobody really would have cared that much. You know, he could have just moved on. I wonder why he felt the need to have the conversation. Probably wasn't good for him, but hey, you know what? His video's blown up. Maybe that's why he felt the need to talk about it. So let's go.
Timmy2Cents, and we're gonna get this shit sorted.
Okay.
Let's see. I've hit the button. My Discord is lagging ever so slightly. The lag may be me. There's an argument to be made that the lag may be me.
Okay, I don't think.
Ladies and gentlemen,
how you doing, brother?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How you doing?
All right. Got a lot of energy.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm in the middle of a move. It's stressful, but you know.
Dude, I feel that. Energy. Me too. Dude, yeah, same.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
You didn't like my video,
no,
which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can get my video rolling on this side so it's not weird. Let me turn on camera. Here we go. All right, cool. You see me now?
There he is.
Wow.
There's the handsome chappy.
This is so, the energy here is so weird already.
Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of the video. I do appreciate that you reached out to do a conversation instead of us just firing videos at one another.
Well, I feel like it could have just ended there. There wouldn't have been any firing of videos.
Because obviously a lot of people have questions, and including me, I've got some that I've written down. I feel like you've got a lot of explaining to do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you know, just before we get into this, I did go through your video and basically go through each of the points that you had made in yours. And I think there are maybe, what's that? Oh, they can't hear you. Okay, hang on 1 second. Let me make sure they can hear you. Go ahead and speak for me.
La 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 la, bo 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 bo.
I just hate the energy between these two, like super performative like energy. This is bothering the shit out of me so far.
Did that work? Am I on?
Like, I know that they want to be nice to each other, but it's like too nice, you know? It goes beyond, you know, trying to be informal.
Okay, so just a little background. I normally stream on a 2 PC setup, and so I was scrambling to get all this set up because I packed up the other rig.
It's not really that difficult.
And they still can't hear. Okay, give me 1 second.
You get like OBS, and then you just have to get something that captures this Discord. That's pretty much it. They're really not that crazy.
Will be able to hear you.
I get you.
This is amateur hour.
You want me to sing opera, and then you'll know opera when they hear it, because they'll go, "Oh my god, that majestic voice." I don't need
Wow, this is so annoying.
a scuffed
Old nub thing.
to do a game show on my. Also, I interviewed the woman who played Lala out halfway through, and we missed out on the second half of the interview. So I am no. I'll keep talking.
What's annoying is like it's showing your.
Was this live streamed or was this a video? This is just a video. Why did he leave all this in here? This is just a video.
Audio should be it. I would love to have changed about the video. So 2, 3. That should be it.
Okay. 3
testing
minutes
1,
of
2,
fluff.
3. Perfect.
Hey,
Sounds much better. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay.
Beautiful.
So where we go? Okay. So back to what I was saying. I went through your video. I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I think there are a handful of things I would love to have changed about the video. Little mistakes here and there. But I think overall, I do think
your pop-up video's almost done. Very cool.
I disagree with most of your feedback, and rather than going and doing video responses and going back and forth, and me making a video response and then you making a video response, I feel like this is, you can get right to the point, right?
That's fair. That's fair. I will say, before you carry on, I just want to say I'm interested in you saying that it comes down to a difference of opinion when it clearly doesn't.
Okay.
It's not a difference of opinion. You've been shat on for that. It's not a difference of opinion when you're.
Well, I mean, part of the narrative, a lot of the part of the narrative was that like Sue Klebold, is like a horrible parent who could have seen the warning signs coming, but she refused to acknowledge them, and she's like abusive. But it turns out that based on the information this guy had proposed, that Sue didn't even know about the website, which had or the diary website that had all this like horrible shit in it, and that this person proposed like a very false, disingenuous narrative. So if that's not true, if the other guy's lying, then we can talk. But it seemed like this guy on the right came packing with proof. So
misquoting people and editing quotes out of context, that's not a difference in opinion.
Okay, so and we'll go through that. A lot of my misquotes, like for example, one of the ones you brought up, and we can go through it.
This guy's just yapping, man. Relax.
You attribute malice if I make a mistake when it a lot of the misquotes are like a quote from her book. And I say Sue said this, and it will be like Solomon in the preface, right? And overall, like, yes, that's like.
No, just to be clear, you said that Sue says things like this in her book, and then you say at least she's consistent in her messaging, which means that you're saying those are Sue's words when they're not Sue's words. Not that you made a little mistake here and there, oopsie poopsie.
Yeah. And so I would argue her book,
Okay. I mean, could this guy argue like, hey, you know what? I mean, listen, I don't know how it works with these guys. I wonder if he has a researcher, and maybe that could have been the problem, or maybe he's just a disingenuous dick and he went in there to try to, like, I don't know, virtue bully Sue Klebold. I don't know. Who knows, I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
She picks a psychologist, the Solomon guy who, wrote a book about, children being very different than their parents, So she finds a psychologist who agrees with her, overall theory about mental health, which is fine. It's what everybody does. It's called rhetoric, it's fine. And
well, I mean, my understanding, and this could be wrong, was that those kids, like that this guy was bullied relentlessly in school. And obviously there's no justifier to shooting up a school, but if you're going to be relentlessly bullied by people, it's obviously going to have an impact on your perspective, and it could drive you to do really terrible things, which is why they should end bullying, guys. Pretty hot take, right? Sure, okay.
And she uses him to write the, the forewarn, and those aren't her words, and this is one of the corrections that I would like to make is like, I messed up. It wasn't her word. It was her book. And so here's the thing. But just one second. That is a mistake, and this is one of the mistakes that I will correct. Sorry, I'm burping. And it is a mistake that I want to correct. However, you take that and you say, oh, you're being dishonest and disingenuous, which implies intent, which implies that I went in there.
This guy is so frantic. What the fuck? Wait. Like, I understand being nervous, but this guy's like stuttering so bad.
And tried to misquote her, which I didn't have to, because she doubled down on that idea in her TED Talk, in her book.
Well, what is the idea that he's referring to that she doubled down on? I mean, she took accountability. And it's basically her perspective is I couldn't have seen it coming, but like it's still my fault. It's like, yeah, I agree with that. I'm like, yeah, she could have done better. The school could have done better. The police could have done better. I mean, the school and the police knew about like the website, and they didn't do anything about it. They should have like expelled him, honestly, and put him into some kind of like honestly jail. Or some kind of rehabilitation or something, and it would have prevented it. You know what I mean? Like just some kind of a pathway to betterment.
And in other places.
Stop for a second. You said that those were Sue's words when they weren't, and it was clearly not Sue's words, because when you put the text up on the screen, everything is in third person. Now, you and I know Sue Klebold just enough to know that she doesn't speak in third person. I'd love to know, how did you end up doing that? Did you just Control F to try and find what it was that you were looking for?
Okay, so to look at this from another standpoint, do you think I would have thought I would get away with that? Like, this is...
Yeah, I think you would have thought you would have gotten away with it. Your video was decently well done. It was a little disconnected from reality, but I think that for the most part, it's not expected for somebody to come forward and go like, this paints Sue Klebold, the mother of a mass shooter or a school shooter, in a bad light. Let me defend that. So like, yeah, I kind of do think you would have gotten away with it, honestly. If his whole perspective is like, you know what? I didn't like Sue Klebold, and I unintentionally... like I had a narrative going in, and there were some concessions I made in some capacity, and it wasn't necessarily intentional. Then like, okay, Like, hey, maybe he's just doubled down on his confirmation bias, but just admit it.
Yes.
Like if it is so obvious to you, and that she actually does believe those words, and those are, and it matches up with her opinion.
Timmy,
this is a mistake. Okay, like you don't have children, right?
What the fuck is happening?
We just had a newborn.
Okay,
we have 3 kids.
Before you move on, Timmy, I'm holding you to the point. No.
Yeah,
so
I'm explaining how you make
so
mistakes.
bad.
I researched this video over 2 or 3 weeks. I was doing a video. The whole reason I got into this Columbine research is because I was making a video on the other channel about a kid who, got locked up for 7 years for, making a threat in RuneScape, a school shooting threat, right? So I got into this topic. I started learning about Columbine. And so I was just researching this thing over 2 or 3 weeks. And this is a huge video. There is so much content that I went through.
Get to the.
He's going to say that there was a lot of content to get through, so there's like some inaccuracies, but overall, I'm right. That's the point that he's making here.
Okay, and so I had a quote that I wanted to put in the video, and when I went to editing, I wanted to put that quote in, and I read it, and I when I was doing the voiceover, I said, Sue said this, and it's from her book.
She's
it's not what she said
in her messaging. You said that those were Sue's words, and that she was consistent with her messaging. Now, I don't necessarily agree that she believes those words. Also, I just want to address you
believes
saying,
the words of what?
For example, wait 1 second. For example, you saying that that Sue added this in a book because she agrees with the messaging. The foreword in books doesn't always. The author doesn't agree with the person who wrote the foreword. For example, in this book, which is my favorite book, the foreword is written by Russell Brand. In the foreword,
but that's not the book that we're talking about.
I know.
Well, he's just talking about an overall pattern of, I guess, whoever writes the foreword. I don't even know what that is. Isn't necessarily always in agreement with the author of the book.
No, I'm making the point, Timmy. I'm making the point.
Okay, he's debate terming it. I think it's not really a red herring. He's okay.
It's called a red herring. It has nothing to do.
No.
But in this,
oh, dude, this is bad. It seems to be true that video essayists cannot stand on their own shit. Like, even if this guy is right, he sounds like a complete fucking goblin right now.
The person who writes the book doesn't have to agree with the person who's writing the foreword to the book.
But they do in this case.
In this book, for
Well, how do you know
example,
that?
I just had one right here. In this book, Russell Brand disagrees with what John Ronson writes and says that he's only writing the foreword because his manager forced him to. They don't have to agree with it. Just because it's in the same book, it doesn't mean that Sue believes those words. Those are two independent different people. No,
Why?
it doesn't.
In this case, it does.
No.
Well, how come? Like, what words are we even talking about? We haven't even established like what specifically we're referring to. It's actually a very vague conversation right now. Like, I don't really know exactly what it is. What words are we specifically referring to?
It doesn't.
Okay, so where does Sue disagree with Solomon then?
Well, she didn't say those words, first of all. Just to be clear.
Okay, well, tell me, does she disagree with Solomon? Tell me where she disagrees.
It appears like it, because she doesn't say those words herself. If she did, you would have included them.
What words?
The words that he says in that quote.
What are we even arguing about?
We're arguing about that specific quote.
What's the quote?
You attributed to...
What quote are they referring to? Just tell us the quote.
Sue Klebold. And you do it twice in it. So,
okay,
let's bring it up. The
yes,
quote
please.
which we're talking about. No, hold on. Do you want us to bring up the quote?
I have it.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it was in 1455 of your video. Just for context, this is all being brought up because I used the quote in her TED Talk. And at the very end of her video, which is, in the end, what I know comes down to this: the tragic fact is that even the most vigilant and responsible of us may not be able to help, but for love's sake, we must never stop trying to know the unknowable.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with the quote. The quote's saying, like, you can do the best that you can. You may not be able to always get to the truth, but you should always keep trying. It's really not that, like, crazy of a message.
And so in Solomon's quote,
yes.
Well, no. So this is context, right? So in Solomon's book, he basically, I'll pull it up right now. How about that?
I think I remember it.
We're going to go all the way to the very beginning. So I'm pulling it up on my screen. But
the quote that Andrew Solomon writes is that the message of this book is terrifying, that you may not always know your child, that they may be unknowable to you. Those are the words
which is the same, essentially the same thing that she says in her TED Talk. Yes.
It's not the same as the same. Okay, so when he's saying that is his opinion. Sue, when she's talking about it in a TED Talk, is very clearly talking, the whole talk is about depression and how suicide thinking can lead to homicidal thinking. And she speaks about it in a TED Talk. She says specifically, you cannot always know what your child is thinking and feeling. Now, what we're talking about, Timmy, isn't thinking and feeling. Your point is that Sue could have gone into his bedroom and found evidence that would have led to her.
No, I never said that. I never said that.
That's your argument.
Well, he made the argument that like she knew about it the whole time and did nothing about it. Is that not what he? I'm pretty sure.
No, I never said that in the video. No.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You said that the notebooks and the tapes were screaming to be found in his bedroom. You said they were
by the police in the school. By the police in the school.
No, that's not what you
said.
In
the context of the police school.
No.
No. I remember watching this guy in the left's video, and he made it really seem like she knew what was going on and did nothing to stop it. Honestly.
Oh, you said that they were screaming to be found.
Like listen, I'll speak for myself. In my video, I made the case that the school was at fault, the police were at fault.
Yeah, but you put the majority of it onto the kid, onto the mother. So
was at fault.
Hold on, just 1 second.
That's literally in the. It was in the conclusion.
Just wait.
Yeah, but it was like a light conclusion. You know what I mean? It would be. It was one of those things where he referenced them, but for the most part, he was trying to pin as much onto the mother specifically as possible. So
wait 1 second. What you said about the police was that they were warned, but they could be forgiven because this was the late 90s and we're still dealing with.
No, I never said. I never forgave them.
You said you said that. Now, right at the end,
no, I said they were at fault, and I said it was egregious that they didn't raid his house.
Yeah, hold on. Right at the end of the video, you say there's a number of things that go into this. There's, there's the police, there's the lack of guns, there's the social issues, but the main issue is bad parenting, which we'll get into. But when we're
the most important.
Yeah, the most important.
Yes, that effectively is the same thing. The most. Okay. Well, he proved him right on that one.
Cause of Columbine was bad parenting, which we will get into. But what you spoke about in it, when you mentioned the police and you said that Randy and Judy Brown had handed this information to him, you said that they didn't take action. But you did say, and I can't remember the exact words, so I don't want to misrepresent you, but you did clearly say that that there was something forgivable about it because it was the internet.
I said that they were screaming to be found. But no, now listen, I said that the guns and the notebooks and everything were screaming to be found because Eric had a website saying he was going to shoot people at the school.
Yeah, but she didn't know about it, and this was at a time where websites were not as easily accessible, and apparently nobody told Sue about the website, so...
And a parent sent it into the police, and the school knew about it.
Yeah, but the parent didn't tell her, the police didn't tell her, the school didn't tell her, so how the fuck is she supposed to know?
And no one investigated it. That's what I was referring to. I even specifically went out of my way and said, Sue didn't beat Dylan. You know, she's not this monster parent. She's a bad parent, and that is her role in this whole thing.
You see, I think this is where we disagree.
Well, okay, it is fine to disagree. Like granted, this is a controversial video. I expected people to disagree. Where I get frustrated is you claim that it's dishonesty and malice on my part because I disagree with you.
Well, no, it's because you put forward very disingenuous, manipulation of information.
No, it's not because you disagree. This doesn't come down to disagreements. So you quoted that quote as if Andrew Solomon was Sue, and you said that at least she's consistent in her messaging. That doesn't seem like a mistake.
And that was
to
a
me.
mistake.
And even when you went back, when you were editing,
I quoted her book, and I said that this was Sue's quote, and I messed that up. But it's also consistent with her overall.
It's not. How much did you read a book?
I skimmed through the book just like I said in my TED Talk.
You did. How much did you skim through it? How much of it did you skim through?
I did basically speed reading and skim through div.
Speed reading? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is speed reading, dude? What the fuck? That's crazy. Fucking speed reading is wild. Okay. Interesting.
Different chapters. There was a lot of stuff. No. Okay, what did you think about the restaurant scene where she's at McDonald's with Dylan? What did you make of that scene?
What scene is that?
Go on.
Well, I was loving it. Just like McDonald's.
Tell me about it. You've read the book, right?
I did, yeah, back just after I left college. I read it,
Dylan
yeah.
walks in and he's uncomfortable. Why is he uncomfortable in the McDonald's?
I don't know. They're referring to something in the book.
Actually, recall why
you didn't read the book.
Yes, I did.
You didn't read the book.
Yes,
okay,
I did.
so
Well, I mean, this sounds like a pretty vague aspect. I mean, maybe he also didn't read the book, but it's also the McDonald's portion of it. It seems like a little. Oh, that's not good. It seems a little vague. I mean, I feel like there are probably bigger portions of the book that you could really internalize. This guy just admitted that he did a speed read on it, which means you didn't read the book. So
tell me, this is a very profound scene. It is a big part of the book towards the end of the book.
Yeah,
because you didn't read the book.
Because I did right after I left college. I haven't read it
okay,
recently.
so I'm going to remind you more. So they're at McDonald's. Okay. They're sitting down at the table, and Dylan is really uncomfortable. Why is Dylan uncomfortable? Because you didn't read the book.
Yes, I did.
Listen,
Dylan's uncomfortable because this guy didn't read the book. That makes perfect sense. Dylan could tell.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I'm fine being patronized for not reading the book from cover to cover. But if you're claiming to hold yourself to the same standard, you tell me what happened.
Timmy, what I'm saying is not that you didn't read the whole book, right?
I think I just caught you with your pants down.
I'm saying
this Timmy2Cents guy's a fucking loser. I think I just got you with your pants down. This is as a dork. What the fuck? He's so dishonest. What the fuck's happening here?
Okay, Timmy, what I'm saying is that when you went
you didn't read the book.
You didn't read the book.
I admitted I didn't read the whole book.
You Control F. You took a screenshot, you put it on the screen. Even when you were editing, you could see around that quote when you highlighted it that it wasn't
Miorby, can you admit that you didn't read the book?
No, I've read the book.
Can you admit
I read
for
the
us?
book a long time ago. Now,
a long time ago? Your video was a month ago. You made your video a month ago.
I didn't. No, I didn't claim to have read a book in the thing. I didn't say.
Okay, is this guy lying too? Did he read the book or not? You just made it seem like you read the book. What the fuck's happening? What the fuck is happening here?
So can you admit that you didn't read the book? Last week I read it. I can recite all of the information out of it. That's
I'm not
absolutely
asking you
true.
to recite things.
Now,
I'm asking
I've
a very
got
basic
questions
thing
for you, Timmy. Right?
So I'm assuming neither of them read the book. Okay, what a weird point. All right. They're both focusing on some very interesting aspects of this. That's all I'll say.
I've been very
Miorby,
cautious.
I'm not going to let you change the subject right now.
To you. I've been very generous to you, and I've answered your questions, and I've offered the odd one in response. But I feel like we should have a fair back and forth, because when you said that this was all a mistake, that was a mistake, and that you quoted her out of context, I'd like to also know, because it wasn't the only time you did it. You also did it with the counselor Andrea Sanchez. From the diversion program.
The counselor,
you quoted her.
The counselor recalled. Okay, so listen. You're changing the subject here. Can you admit that you didn't read the book?
I read the book. It's the same thing.
Okay, so tell me what happened at the McDonald's.
It's the exact same thing.
Tell me what happened at the McDonald's.
I mean, maybe he didn't read the book. I don't think it necessarily matters that you can't remember all the specific aspects of the book just because you don't remember the scene about McDonald's. And since the book isn't about McDonald's, I can imagine. But also, maybe he didn't read it. I don't know.
Why did Dylan get up and leave?
It's the exact same thing.
I don't know, because he's like,
it's the exact same thing. Why don't
you just tell us? I'm curious now.
Exact same thing.
Well, you saying that this was her quote when it wasn't, and then you did it later on, and now you're trying to change the subject again. If that was also a mistake, let's deal with it one by one. Let's make our way through the whole thing. Because that didn't come up in your video, it didn't come up in my video. That's not what we're arguing about, and I bet we're probably not going to disagree with what happened in the McDonald's. I've accused you.
No. I'm just asking you what happened.
I know. I'm aware of that, but that's got nothing to do with what's in your video and my video. I'm accusing you of misrepresenting quotes as if they were Sue's. Address it, Timmy. Stop trying to hide. Address it.
Hide what? What are you talking about?
You're refusing to address the fact that you misquoted
the counselor.
This is a mess. This entire scenario is a fucking mess. Oh my god. This guy even had to say something. Well, I wish the interview had gone more constructively. Timmy showed his intention never to be accountable. Blah 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 blah. This whole thing is a fucking nightmare.
Counselor Andrea Sanchez.
So here's what happened with
the both of them are fucking obnoxious, honestly.
Counselor situation. The counselor sat down, interviewed
the Timmy2 guy. Whatever is worse, in my opinion.
Dylan interviewed Eric, interviewed Sue, interviewed the parents, and she had her own notes. And then she had the notes that were more objective that Sue actually signed, right?
Yes,
what I find really funny is in your video you said Sue didn't even know about any of this. She didn't have access to this until 6 months later. But she was there, and
that's no. These are two different things.
You have to let.
Well, he was from my understanding, it would sound like he was specifically referring to not having access to the website or like the book or whatever, like the whatever. I think the sketches or whatever were on the website. I think that's what he was referring to.
Let me finish here. What?
I know, but I'm holding you to the point because the point that I made about that isn't to do with this quote. What I'm saying, because in her book, she says that she didn't read that, she didn't know about that bit in the diversion report. There's a quote in her book which you skimmed through where she said that.
Can you let me get a thought in? Okay, so
absolutely, go ahead.
What happened was is the counselor recorded an objective third-party recount of what.
Here's if a moderator would have helped. I doubt it. They're just completely unorganized too. It's just the two of them fucking yelling at each other.
People had told her in the family history. So there's a segment, where the counselor interviews everybody in the family.
Yep.
Okay.
And at one point she writes, the Klebold family had some disagreements with Byron, who's the brother of Dylan, and Sue's other son. She writes that that the family or the parents kicked Byron out of the house. And so I used that in my video as evidence that she was kicked out of the house. Now, what's really funny is
openly admits to kicking Byron out of the house, even though she blatantly denies it. She denies kicking Byron out of the house.
So,
I provide the quote to me. She denies kicking Byron out of the house. And you said that she openly admits to kicking her out of the house, and then showed a quote as if that was Sue saying it.
Okay.
So
I remember what they're talking about vaguely. This whole thing is a mess.
I quoted the counselor who interviewed the family.
Yeah, that's the counselor had said it, and it might be true. Maybe Sue denied it and she's lying, but yeah, she did deny it. So.
And I attribute.
Also, he was 19. I really wouldn't care. I think he was 19. I really wouldn't care even if she did kick him out of the house. Like, I also know that when people live together, sometimes it can be, or for too long, it can sometimes be, or create a toxic dynamic. And sometimes, like, moving out of the house can make things much better for the relationship. Like, my mother and I had like the same thing, so it's kind of normal. Same thing with my wife and her mother. Sometimes it's like people need to get out.
I did that information from the Klebold family. The counselor wouldn't have made this up. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not words.
I actually want to find in the book what she says about this, because I think I wrote some notes.
Go ahead.
So the family history, blah blah blah, and like later in the notes, dude, you've got to let me finish, man. Come on.
Yeah, but yes and no. It's over in a second, and I sit back and I'll let you read out your quote. Were they Sue's words?
This is so stupid. In this entire fucking conversation is so dumb.
In Sue's words in the book, she mentions that.
Was that Sue's words?
Dude, you've got to let me finish, man.
Absolutely, I will.
I'm talking about her book. Yes, it is her words. She mentions that.
Not in version. That's not. Go ahead.
In her book, she mentions that Byron was left on his own accord. It was amicable. Okay. And in the counselor paperwork, the counselor wrote down from the family history that he was kicked out of the house. Dylan, in the diversion paperwork, which Sue signed, he wrote Byron as the least supportive member in his family, and he isn't involved with my life. Okay. And that was when he was in high school, and Byron must have been 19 at the time. So that's kind of the background there. So what does it change?
So it's not Sue's words.
So there are a handful of times.
All he has to say is that I trust the doctor or whatever reviewing subject more than I trust Sue. I was like, okay, I could buy that. Maybe Sue is lying. That's all you really have to say. It's such a small point, but maybe that's all you have to say. It doesn't really.
In my video, where I get slight little things wrong like that, but the overall picture that Byron is a troubled kid who got a felony for breaking into a store, was driving drunk and got a DUI, and was left the home. Whether it was kicked out or not, it's kind of irrelevant, and I find this really odd. What does this have to do with anything?
You said that Sue kicked him out of the house. That Sue openly admits to kicking him out of the house, which would give everyone the image that she kicked her son out of the house. And then you said that's the quote, even though it's not by Sue, and she denies it. She denies kicking him out. So it's two lies in one, Timmy.
No, but this is a difference of opinion, okay?
No, it isn't. No. It's a difference of
it is. But
it's a difference in integrity, Timmy. It's a difference in integrity.
What Sue says in her book is not fact. We have a third-party objective person, a counselor,
the fact
who
is that she didn't write the quote, and she denies kicking him out of the house. And you said the fact that she openly admits to kicking him out of the house is not true. She doesn't.
But the counselor does not. The counselor that interviewed the family wrote that he was kicked out of the house. So this is debatable. This is debatable.
Sure, that's debatable. It does not matter. Holy fuck! This whole thing is so stupid.
You said that Sue openly admits to it. Why did you say that Sue openly admits to it?
Because she reported that to a counselor, a licensed counselor, who. No, the mom did. The counselor interviewed everyone in the family.
Yes. And that's not presented.
She interviewed everyone in the family.
She did, and she interviewed Dylan.
No,
She
okay,
abused Dylan.
Okay.
And you
The
said
analogy
those
is,
were
imagine
Sue's
if, dude, you have to let me speak, man, or I'm going to hang up, okay? So you have to let me speak. You can't just keep interrupting. I'm letting you speak, okay? So in the medical field, if you go and speak to a doctor, okay, and you tell the doctor, I have this problem, whatever, and they write that in the notes. Yeah, you can argue, like, did they say it or not, or was it the doctor saying it? But it's the note. So a clinician, a counselor who is interviewing a family, when they write into their bio the family history, they're reporting what is told to them. It's what Sue said. Okay?
No,
yes, it is.
No, you just said that.
Listen, dude.
This is such fucking brain rot. I honestly don't know if I want to finish this. This is so fucking terrible.
You have to let me finish. When a detective is interviewing somebody,
this is fucking dog shit. The two of the point doesn't even matter. This is so fucking stupid. Like, I kind of want to finish it because I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. But I mean, it's actual fucking brain rot what these two are talking about. It's insane. Oh my god.
For a murder case, and they write down, the person says that, they left the house at 5 p.m. in a black car, whatever. It is what the person told to the detective in the same way that this is what the family told to the counselor. It's really disingenuous for you to say that I'm being like malicious or trying to like give false truths. What the counselor said is that the family told her that Byron was kicked out of the house. It's not crazy. This is not some situation where I'm like twisting the truth.
Okay, let me just say, you said
and
that
also I would like to know, why is this so important to you?
I'll tell you why.
Of whether Byron is kicked out or not, because it makes Sue look like a bad mom who has no control over her children and has two bad.
I mean, not really, not necessarily. It could, not necessarily, but okay.
True. Because it's not true.
It is true.
No, you said those were Sue's words.
Did he not get arrested for a DUI?
Yes.
Now you're saying that all of this,
that she interviewed all the family, even though what you said was
it's unfortunately very common for people to drink and drive, like surprisingly common. So, if she kicked him out of the house for getting a DUI, if anything, that's a good mom. In my opinion, maybe I would say. I mean, it's unfortunate that people. I know people who will drink and then they'll drive. It's not good. I don't. But I don't think that that's an indicator that this person was like raised like shit. If anything, to me, it's an indicator that that person doesn't understand how dangerous alcohol can be when it's in your system.
Words. And you said that Sue openly admits to kicking Byron out of the house, even though the quote clearly says in her book that when she got access to the diversion notes after the shooting,
she denies it.
When she
denies it in her book. This isn't like her book isn't
Sue
objective reality.
Sue openly admits to kicking Byron out of the house isn't true. Thank you.
What do you mean it isn't true?
Sue openly admits to kicking Byron out of the house.
She admitted to kicking Byron out of the house to a counselor in objective paperwork. But when she goes and writes her book 20 years later, she doesn't write that. Again,
counselor in their interview,
objective reality. No. Objective reality says she kicked Byron.
Objective, maybe.
Now, her own.
I think he's supposed to 10-month small gut. Cal, hey Papa, first time seeing you ever. Love you too.
Cal, in her own book, with no editor that's holding her to any kind of truth, can write whatever she wants. Of course. But the paperwork, the licensed professional. Listen.
Let's just clear this
up. The licensed professional disagrees with her.
Just give me 1 minute. So, in the impression that the counselor got with their interview with the family was that
why is he on the right harping so much on this point? Like, maybe she did lie. I don't know. The argument of like, oh, I think that she didn't actually say that. Maybe it was a it's fine to speculate that, but it's far from the biggest point of the book of his video, right? So why are we harping so much on this? It seems like just dumb. This part is so stupid.
She had kicked Byron out of the house, right? And what we know now is that Sue denies it. Will you at least agree with me that Sue now denies kicking Byron out of the house, regardless of how the counsel?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So why do you say that?
Of course, she denies it
to kicking him out of the house. Where the only reason I care about this is the truth. I care if it's the truth. That's it.
In my opinion, based on my video and my research, I came to the conclusion that she kicked Byron out because she told a counselor that in a meeting a long time ago. Now here's the thing. That diversion paperwork was in 1998. This is before Columbine, okay? So after Columbine, when her son, tries to kill everybody at school and she's on a media campaign, she writes a book and changes the story and uses her flowery language. And she does this consistently over and over and over again. You haven't read her book.
Okay, maybe that's true. I guess, okay.
But I actually did go and read a book after the video just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I didn't.
In the
okay.
Diversion notes, does it say that Sue told the diversion counselor that she kicked Byron out of the house?
It is implied when a counselor is writing down the family history that they are collecting it from the family. It would be like saying in a doctor's or a nurse's chart. You have to let me speak. In a doctor or nurse's chart. In a doctor's or a nurse's chart, which is a medical record, very similar to a counselor's way of writing.
Yeah, and like doctors and nurses can make mistakes too. Like, it's true. I think one of the leading causes of death of people like in emergency rooms is that nurses making mistakes. Or it's at least a large cause of death. You know, and it's a hard job, so. But yeah, medical error is third leading cause of death in America. Yeah, so just to be clear, medical errors seem to be rather prevalent.
On family history, it is implied that the information gathered is from the patient. Okay, and so I was a paramedic for 10 years, and we will often document things as subjective or objective. We'll say that the patient, states this, or they deny taking this medication, or they affirm this, because this is subjective, right? I can't validate them, and some of the information is objective, like their blood pressure was X or Y. Okay. When you look through the paperwork of the diversion paperwork, this is the information she got from the family. Sanchez got from the family. The family reported Byron getting kicked out. Dylan doubles down on this and says that Byron is the one that he's least connected to in the family, and says he's not around. Yeah. Okay, and this is all very consistent. Okay, well, it's not. And so here's the thing. So 20 years later, she writes a book. Okay, fine, go.
Thank you. So the diversion counselor had a meeting with the whole family. The counselor's views was that Byron had been kicked out of the house, and now you're just saying that it was Sue that had told her that, even though she'd had meetings.
Abigail
meetings
English
with the family.
super chatted $1.99. Do not turn this off. We kept Mama Max on after all.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Now you're saying that she's changing her story when it could have been
she's
Dylan
changed her
that
story
told
multiple
her that.
times.
It could have been Dylan that told her that.
Okay, I told her that.
Your quote is she openly admits to it, even though that's not true.
Who cares?
She doesn't openly admit to it.
It's such a small point. Maybe she lied. Maybe the doctor lied. Maybe she had shame afterwards and went back at that and said like, "Oh, I don't want to admit to it." Or maybe she didn't say it. Maybe it's like such a small point that is not the main aspect of this situation.
I think like this is my bias, and I've said this in the video multiple times. I think Sue is a narcissist. I think that she has changed her story multiple times. I think that she uses flowery language. And we'll get to that in a second. And so I think that she is, using flowery language throughout her book, which she does in her TED Talk. And when you go and you look back at the objective data, like the, the actual reports that were before Columbine that are in fine print by licensed professionals, they account for different stories than what she accounts for. For example, in the diversion paperwork, she uses words like, they discovered a van and like,
Am I gonna make this into a video? Probably. I mean, I'm curious about it. It's just these two are fucking shouting at each other, and it's completely unproductive, and it's both of their faults. It's completely unorganized. We're harping on it's like 27 or 28 minutes in, and we've really only talked about one quote where it's the overall narrative and a few, like, it's just, the whole thing is fucking, it's a mess.
They found this and they took this because they thought it was abandoned. And it's like, no, they fucking broke into a van and committed a felony, installed the electronics out of it. That's actually what happened. And so she has a consistent past of doing this kind of stuff. So about the narcissist stuff,
maybe she's embarrassed.
Really admit, I regret using the word narcissist.
I want to address what you just said. Before we do the narcissism thing, let me just address what.
Like, I don't know why the guy on the right is so desperate to defend Sue. Like maybe Sue was a shitty parent. It doesn't, or maybe she's not a perfect parent. Maybe she is kind of shitty. Parents were shittier back then. Unfortunately, parents were worse than they are now. We learn more as time goes on and things get a little bit better. I don't understand why he's so quick to defend. He's like a staunch defender of her. She might have been a shit parent. There are inaccuracies in what the guy on the left saying, fundamentally trying to push this idea that like Sue is the primary problem and the primary reason why this whole scenario happened, where it seems like this was more definitely the school and police's fault. The school for not monitoring bullying and the police for not doing something about, the website that was very explicit about wanting to kill people. It's like the parent might have been part of the problem, but then she did a TED Talk talking about how it was her fault in some capacity, about how she wishes she caught it sooner and that she wishes she loved her kid more, that the bullying got to him and she wished, so it's like, what are we really debating here,
What you just did, because I'm not going to let that slide. You say that Sue consistently downplays what Dylan did and addresses it all in flowery language. I've got some quotes here that I'd like to read to you.
Okay, here we go.
This is from Andrew Solomon's book, the one you mentioned earlier, Far From the Tree, when he interviewed Sue in around 2011, before his book was released. She said, "I saw the end product of my life's work. I had created a monster. Everything I had refused to believe was true. Dylan was a willing participant, and the massacre was not a spontaneous impulse. He had purchased and created weapons that were designed to end the lives of as many people as possible. He shot to kill." In a different quote, in a Guardian article that she wrote, and she actually mentions this in a book that you skimmed through, a single fact had emerged without any ambiguity at all. Dylan had done this thing. Dylan had deliberately killed and injured people. He had derided them as they begged for their lives. He had used racist, hateful language. He had not shown mercy, regret, or conscience. He had shot a teacher. He had killed children in cold blood. Now, both there, you said that she's trying to downplay what her son did. Does that sound like she's trying to downplay it?
Okay, so in this circumstance,
Yeah, that sounds like she's actively admitting that she fucked up. That he was a bad person. Yeah, okay.
she can't, because we all saw what happened. She can't say he didn't do those things. In fact, she
But isn't what? But okay.
tried to initially. She said Dylan didn't do this. Dylan couldn't have done this.
Well, I would expect her to. Her son just committed a mass shooting. I would expect her to be in shock and not acting the most rationally. Like I'm not exactly surprised on that point, if that's true. Like that's part of the problem, is it seems like this guy doesn't understand human beings. So
When she was
and you know what they did? They showed her the fucking tapes.
Yeah, because
and she couldn't. They sat her down. Do you know what the basement tapes are?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, this happened 6 months after 1999. We're talking her TED Talks in the late 2000s, almost 15, 20 years later. But before the TED Talk, she's seen all of this, okay?
Yeah.
And before all these books, 2011 is 12 years after 1999, right? So at the time when Columbine first happened, she denied that Dylan did anything. In fact, her narrative was that Eric.
yeah, she was coming to terms with it. It's not like a hot take. Oh, she denied it at first. Yeah, I would too. If my kid just committed a fucking mass killing, I don't think I would believe it either. Good thing I don't run the police force or the criminal justice system, and if I was in that system, guess what? I wouldn't be assigned to this case. Like, we understand that's how people's biases work. That's why they'll act these particular ways. Like, what?
Eric was no, right. Well, okay. She like a normal mom, right? A normal mom doesn't think their kid is culpable of this, or capable rather.
Yes.
So what happened was Eric, she put 99% of the blame over on Eric. Eric is the psychopathic kid. It was his plan, all this stuff. But when we found the journals, it's actually Dylan who first had this idea of the NBK, the natural born killers. I don't know if you've read the journals. I don't know if you did any research.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, who was their other idol that they consistently bring up in the journals?
Probably Ricky Martin.
Are you talking about their friend Zach? Or
They're,
are you talking about
the journals, the Eric and Dylan, the two killers, they consistently bring up another person as their idol. Who was it?
Yeah, so in the journals they bring.
Oh, you haven't read the journals. So you haven't read the journals and you haven't read the book, and you have.
I was reading the journals yesterday, Timmy.
But you made the video a month ago.
Why is he screaming? I don't know. Why? Let the guy answer. Let the guy answer.
About me, and you didn't do any research.
I read them then as well. I was reading those yesterday.
Oh my god, dude. Okay, so Timothy McVeigh. Okay, so here's the deal. The bombing was supposed to take place on what date? What date was the bombing supposed to take place?
It happened in April.
April 19th. April 19th.
He's trying to get him on such small points. Like, okay. Yeah, he's doing like a pop quiz to try to prove that he's right.
Is the anniversary of what? Which is the anniversary of what?
The
Oklahoma bombings. The Oklahoma bombings. Oh, very good. You got that right. No, you didn't. You don't know anything. So here's the deal. They planned this.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm happy I didn't turn this off. It's finally getting good.
It was a bombing, right?
It's getting fucking crazy.
It to be on April 19th. Why couldn't they do it on April 19th? They talk about this in the journals.
Honestly, these little details don't seem like they would be like the primary focal point of the situation. It's like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's inspiration. It's important, but was that the most prevalent part of the diary or whatever, or was that a small aspect of it? Because I couldn't imagine like unless he's like, yeah, I'm gonna constantly bring it up. Did he like constantly bring it up, or like what the fuck is happening?
I mean, are you going to address what I'm talking about here? Or are we going to keep changing
You
the
haven't
subject?
read. I'm just seeing if you read the journals.
Okay,
so April 19th, the reason why. Okay,
right
so
here, I've just given you 2 examples, right? And you still haven't addressed these. All that you've said is, well, that's not.
I'm getting it to. So,
but in your no, let me finish. You've had to go at me for talking over you. Let me finish, right? What you say in your video is that she still refused. She still tries to downplay everything. That's the impression that you give is that she's still to this day trying to downplay it.
She can downplay things that people can't verify. Okay, so she can downplay Byron because people can't verify unless the documents come out and I bring it up in a video. But she will downplay everything that she can unless it can't be downplayed. She tried to downplay Dylan's involvement, and then they showed her the basement tapes. Do you know what the basement tapes are?
Of course.
Well, yeah, but again, like, of course she's gonna downplay Dylan's. Again, it's a mother coming to terms with what the fuck's going on. It's not like this hot take that she did that. I think there's a difference between downplaying it because you can't cope with it, especially initially, which seems to be the majority of the conversation, versus trying to spin a narrative. I don't. Okay,
so they're the videos that the government put away and said no one can see them because they're so bad, and they talk about why they did everything. There are some transcripts. A handful of people have seen it. Sue saw that and she realized, oh shit, I can't I can't pin this on Eric.
Well, that's your
and so
opinion.
Yeah, that's your interpretation of it. That just is okay, whatever. Oh,
right.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure this is not like a controversial take. I think she talks about this in the book. I do remember where she couldn't imagine it was her son.
she couldn't imagine it was her son, and then somebody proved it to her, and she's like, "Oh, damn." And then he assigned a malicious narrative to that. Like, what the fuck? This is so weird. Like, even if she's a shit parent, I doubt that she was like, "Yeah, I want to abuse my kid." She's probably just a shit parent. Okay.
Child or sunflower child, or like what does she call him? The sun child or whatever.
Randy Brown
She refers to him several times
now, though, right? Randy Brown himself says that he's surprised. Like, to this day,
have you reached out to Randy Brown?
I've watched his interviews.
I reached out to Randy Brown and I asked him some questions. I actually wanted him to comment on the video. I sent him, my idea, and he said, this is interesting. I'll get back to you. And I sent him the video after it went out, and I don't think he wants to get involved. But I reached out to him.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like he didn't like your video. I mean, me. Okay.
When I asked him some of these questions, and I've listened to a lot of interviews with him, but that's irrelevant to what we're talking about right now. We're talking about Sue. So what Sue thinks. Sue thought Dylan was her son child. I forget what she uses. She says
moving
son
on
child.
From the fact that Randy Brown has that same image now. Like in his Reddit AMA, he says those things. He says that he's to this day can barely accept that.
I disagree with. I don't care what Randy Brown thinks. I disagree with Randy Brown.
That's interesting.
So what does that have to do with anything?
You're
talking to me, right?
That's good to know. All right, that's good to know.
I don't know why we're arguing about what Randy Brown thinks. Why does that matter?
Crux in your video, the Randy Brown.
It's a good thing like video essayists aren't championed on their ability to have constructive conversation, because this is fucking ridiculous. Holy fuck, this is insane.
All right,
some of the things that Randy Brown did,
it's my turn.
like for example,
it's my turn.
Answer the question about Sue because you don't like where this is going.
You don't care what Randy Brown has to say. So my next question
fuck is Randy Brown?
Why is it that you deceptively edit down Sue's video? Because you cut her off right at the point when she's about to
give the admission. To me.
When she's about to give the admission that she failed as a mother.
You did the same thing.
You saying that you did the same thing to me is an admission that you did it. Just to be clear, like that's what you're saying. You're saying, well, you did it too. You're not saying I didn't. You're saying you also did that. So if anything, it seems a little dishonest
to me.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
Hey, good morning.
So you didn't include all the quotes.
Video is that Sue refuses to accept that she failed as a mother. She refuses to give any admission that she failed as a mother.
Did you watch the Miranda Sings apology video?
You cut her off. Oh, with ukulele.
What the fuck what does Colleen Ballinger have to do with any of this? What the fuck? What is happening?
To do with
You're familiar. Okay, yeah. What does that have to do with this? Quick. I'll explain. Let me explain. So in the Miranda Sings video, do you know that she actually did apologize in that video?
Why did you edit
in the middle of the video?
What the fuck?
Why did you edit her
Can you let me? I'm gonna explain why.
How the fuck did Colleen Ballinger? How did Colleen Ballinger get brought up here? This is insane. This is not happening. Oh my god!
It has nothing to do with this.
It does. Let me tell you why.
No.
So
just tell me.
How do you know it doesn't?
Tell me why.
I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
Okay, listen, dude. If you want to hear why, I'll tell you. But you gotta let me speak, okay? So in the Miranda Sings video, she actually says that she is sorry in the middle, and she says, "I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have sent the attacks or whatever." Now she does kind of sugarcoat it by calling a queef a fart.
My brother in Christ. This has nothing to do.
This has absolutely nothing to do with anything.
Why does nobody accept Miranda Sings apology video as being genuine?
Why are you not addressing this?
What the fuck is he talking about?
I am. Will you let me speak?
You cut off Sue. Right, you didn't include that part where she says that she.
What does it have to do? What the fuck is? I can't even imagine a point that's. I can't even imagine a point that's trying to be made here. I couldn't. I don't understand.
Because she ends the video saying that it can't be known and it can't be knowable.
The thoughts and feelings of your loved ones are the unknowable thing. In the TED Talk, the thoughts and feelings. And the thing is, right, the important point is, you're not expecting, as far as I'm aware, and tell me if I'm wrong, right? You're not expecting.
His whole point is that because at the end she said you can't really know the thoughts or feelings of your loved ones, like truly. That's what he harps on. Like that's what fucking bothers him more than anything else. I mean, some people you're just not everybody can, and you never 100% know. It's not, it's really just. It's not really this huge point of tension here that he's trying to make it seem like, oh, you fucking asshole, you moved it.
Expecting Sue to be able to read Dylan's mind, or everyone to be able to read their child's mind. The evidence that people could find that their child was about to become a school shooter would be, say, in their journals and stuff.
Dude, you have to let me make my point. I'm going to give you one more warning. This is the last warning. If you keep cutting me off, I'm just going to end this talk, and I'm just going to make a video.
It just sounds like he's bringing up Colleen Ballinger as a virtue signal.
Just something else.
Timmy,
so let me speak, okay?
Well.
But you're not letting me complete this point. No, you were doing it way worse.
Go ahead.
So in the Miranda
Okay.
Sings video, the reason why no one finds it genuine is because while she says the words, "I'm sorry and I shouldn't have done this," she then later in the video, shirks responsibility and becomes a victim, and that's why people don't accept her.
Well, no, it's because she's not admitting that she's a groomer, because she's not, and people have that narrative on the internet that she is. That's what it is. It's not because that's literally what it is. But okay, fuck, I keep messing my ability.
So
I'm
Klebold,
that out.
you have to let me finish. So Sue Klebold, in certain parts of the video, will say that Dylan has this mental health issue, and I can't believe I didn't catch it, and I feel so bad, and my ignorance is the thing that I am so sad about. I wish I had known more about him.
Timmy.
And then later on, she says it couldn't have been known.
Timmy,
and she goes to several. Dude,
part
you
that
have to
you
let me
cut out-
fucking.
No,
Okay,
no,
listen,
you're
dude,
not
I'm
addressing it. Timmy, you're not
gonna
addressing
peace
it.
out, dude. You have to let
Don't
me
run away.
finish speaking.
Don't be a coward.
Okay, I guess that's it. This whole thing is a fucking train wreck mess. What the fuck did we just watch? What the fuck?
What a little coward. Right, here's the thing, chat. I tried. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit that he ran away as a coward. Right. I tried to hold him to the point. He was trying to hold me to the fact that I haven't read Sue's book recently. Back in college, I read Sue's book. In fact, I did a whole presentation about Sue's book back in college, okay? I read the book. I haven't read it fairly recently. That's fine, okay? All right, I haven't read it recently. I can't remember everything that happened in Sue's book, all right? I think you'll need a moderator. No, a moderator would have not been correct. I'm not letting him get away with his absolute bullshit, okay? I'm not letting him just say things. And when I ask him, why did you cut Sue off? I'm not just going to let him sit there and go, well, in Miranda Sings video, the reason people don't accept that, and Sue says at the end of the TED Talk about the unknowable.
All right. Does he come back? No, he doesn't come back. I think we'll call it there then. I'm not really super interested in this in general at this point. This thing was a fucking insane, pointless conversation. I don't think either of them really came into it prepared to talk about what they're talking about. This Timmy2Cents guy is obviously exponentially worse. I mean, I don't fault this guy here that's left to be like this horrible person, just because, I mean. But this whole thing was so ridiculous and unconstructive. So, fun times, fun times.